So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Roko and Michelle. So this week, and it came about interesting ways, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but this week, the topic is on the power of the so what. I'm going to kick us off with a quote. There's a couple of them, but this one we've gotten some clarity around, so I'm going to read it. The so what question is powerful and often difficult to answer. Larger, what does it all mean questions often are. And the hard-won answers, when they come, are sometimes the most significant of all. The so what question that Roko and I are talking about around that is when you're doing, I'm going to say change management, improvement work, anything like that, that we're trying to make a difference or we're trying to close some gap or whatever it may be. Or I often, and I remember Margie talking about this in the problem statement, right? It's the part of you've got this thing that you want to fix, but the thing that we need to answer is, what's the result? What's the so what? So for instance, if you're focused on productivity, and I'm going to go to the healthcare world with frontline staff, and you need to be able to close the productivity gap or hit targets. The so what in that is the articulation of why does that matter? So if we hit productivity targets, what's going to be different? We're going to have bandwidth and capacity. So what? Why does that matter? Well, it matters because then we're going to be able to treat more patients, right? We've got some unmet demand somewhere there. So the power in the so what is the thing that's actually going to motivate people to actually get engaged and follow through on it. So I'll stop there because clearly I'm really passionate about this.
Yeah. So for me, it's getting down to the core, right? We always talk about communication and the need to be able to articulate at a very granular level, but also at a very simplistic level. And if we can't articulate the impact of solving to this defect or solving to this variation, how do we expect others to buy into the need to do it? When you have all of these other competing priorities, or you're just trying to get through the day, understanding and being able to articulate that to someone to say, hey, we're going to pause. We're going to think do some deep thinking on why this defect keeps showing up or why we keep having these variations. Being able to articulate that so what is so critical. And I think that goes to what your quote was saying, right? It is a difficult thing, and it shouldn't just be glossed over by making this, very high level overview kind of statement around what the impact is. Really understand what the outcome of your efforts will be, because then that also ties back to, did we actually change something in a meaningful way?
Mm-hmm. It's funny when you say that, because I'm going to go back to the other, I'll take the productivity example, is that if we don't do the thinking, to your point, to get down to the level of the so what question and be able to answer that, people will replace it with some other narrative as to why it matters, especially in organizations, because there's leaders that are making decisions about what to work on or what to fix or the direction to go. They have their reasoning behind it, and frontline a number of times, because there's a limited view of what else is happening in the organization, will put their own spin on it, and it may or may not motivate them to do the work. To your point, we get a lot of plate spinning. There's a lot of opportunity to do stuff. Why this thing? Why now? And I think part of answering the so what question will start to close that gap in why this, why now. I have one other quote. And this is, motivation is not a matter of willpower. It is a matter of what power. That was my other one.
I love it. Yeah, because, the whole will skill piece of it, but it really is getting to that heart and mind of the person.
It's the heart and head connection. I mean, it's the two of it. So anyway, when I was thinking about this, and like literally went back to Margie, and she's like, so what? What does it result in? I mean,
Right.
and that's the thing, is that we need to be able to answer that so what question. And that's I think the missing link in a lot of times, and it requires us to go a little bit deeper in our thinking.
Yeah.
That was it. That's the thought that I have. So what is on your mind that you want people to walk away with from this topic of the power of the so what?
So a couple things. One, as we talked about offline, and I want to make sure that we hit on it quickly, is that there's the why, which is this higher level reason as to why this, why that, why are we focusing on this defect or this performance right now, which is different than the so what question, because the so what question is a little bit more narrowly focused around the outcome of that variation. What is happening? What can be different if we fix this variation, or we eliminate or mitigate this this defect? And so I think that that's one piece of it. So there's two parts. There's the why, and then there's the so what piece of it. And then the second piece of it is articulating it, taking the time to really understand that so what is what's going to create the momentum, create the buy-in, and help you really understand, did we actually make meaningful change?
It's interesting when you talk about the why. To me, the why, like you said, is the higher level thing, and the why could be connecting a lot of different, I'm going to say, initiatives or improvement opportunities you have going on, and each of those are going to have their so what opportunity, if you will. Yeah. For me, I think it is even understanding that we need to answer that question, and we need to articulate that. I think that's part of it too, because a lot of times we stop at, I'm going to go back to the productivity thing again, because that's what I started with. If we don't go deep enough to articulate the so what around something like that, all we're going to do is go, we need to hit the targets. And people are like, oh, there we go again. Yeah, you just want us to do more with less, and we can't do
all about the numbers.
Yeah. And so and there's nothing surrounding why that even matters. I mean, it could be an arbitrary number. People would tell themselves there's no way we could possibly do it. And I think it's so important that, to your point, we take the time to dig deeper, to not only understand what it is, but to be able to communicate what that is too, so that we can motivate. It's the heart and mind part of it. It's just the heart and mind. Yeah. So that would be it. Well, thank you. This has been Leadership Soundbites with Roko and Michelle on the power of the so what. And until next time, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you.